Here's an uncomfortable truth. 95%. That's the percentage of AI projects that never make it past the experiment phase. Almost everyone is trying AI right now, trying tools, testing features, watching demos, feeling like they're making progress. But experimenting isn't operating. And that's where most small business owners are stuck. I'm Kim,
I'm Hal.
and this is Small Business Big AI, the podcast where we stop playing defense and start building technology-enabled superpowers. Now today, we are breaking down why most AI projects stall before they ever become operational, and what the businesses that actually make AI work are doing differently.
If you're like quite a few of our listeners out there and you tried a tool, got excited, and then watched it collect digital dust, this one's for you.
So, Hal, according to recent MIT research, we know the vast majority of generative AI pilots never scale into measurable business value. And really, it's not because the technology doesn't work. It's because it never becomes how work actually gets done. And that's the part most people miss. The real problem is not intelligence. It's not even effort. It's not even the tools. The real problem, it's the gap between experimenting with AI and operating with it.
And the gap between those two things, that's where AI projects go to die.
That's true. And like I said, it's not because the technology failed, no. And not because the team wasn't smart enough. It's because no one actually built the bridge from this is cool to this is how we operate. And most people don't even realize that gap exists until they're stuck on the wrong side of it. So let's talk about where we actually are. Not where the headlines say we are, not where the tech conferences say we are, but where we actually are with AI in small business.
I can tell you this, we're not early anymore.
Go on.
We're about 2 years into the generative AI era. ChatGPT hit in late 2022. By 2023, everyone was talking about it. By 2024, everyone was trying it. And now, in 2026, the data is coming in, and the data is sobering.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Companies have invested billions, but it's sobering. In fact, Garner found that the average company invested nearly $2 million in AI projects, Hal, and fewer than 30% of CEOs were satisfied with what they got back. Now, McKinsey, they say almost 3/4 of companies still haven't captured meaningful value from AI. And then I saw that study by MIT. MIT found that 95% of generative AI pilots fail to deliver measurable financial returns.
Okay, but hold on. Those are enterprise numbers, big companies, big budgets, big bureaucracy. Is this really the same problem for Main Street businesses?
Well, that's a fair statement.
Or is this the usual shiny object cycle where everyone gets excited, overspends, and they move on to the next shiny thing?
And I hear what you're saying, Hal, but I see it a little differently. Now, yes, these are enterprise studies, but the pattern isn't limited to enterprise. Now, I'm hearing it in every conversation I have with small business owners. I mean, sure, they're not spending $2 million, but they are spending time, energy, and money on tools that never become part of how they actually run the business. And here's the part that should concern us. The people making the big AI decisions, the ones setting the narrative and building the platforms and writing the policies, well, they're not small business owners. They're not even thinking about small business owners.
You're talking about Davos.
Right. All in the headlines. I'm talking about Davos. I'm talking about boardrooms. I'm talking about the rooms where transformation is being built, not discussed, built, and small business is not at the table. In fact, Hal, there was a moment this week at Davos where Larry Fink, who's CEO of BlackRock, basically the unofficial mayor of that whole gathering, he said something striking in his opening remarks.
Oh, yeah. I heard he said many of the people most affected by what we talk about here, they'll never come to the conference in Davos. That's surprisingly self-aware.
Yeah, it is. But how self awareness isn't the same as action. And the reality is, the people shaping the future of AI are so far removed from the day to day of running a small business that they can't even see the gap.
Cash flow pressure, thin margins, limited staff, and a zero tolerance for systems that don't work every day.
Right. But the people in the room, they're optimizing for scale, for utilization, for billion-dollar infrastructure plays. And meanwhile, the small business owner just trying to figure out if AI can actually help with scheduling or invoicing or customer follow-up, well, they're on their own.
So you're saying the AI gap isn't just about technology? It's about who's in the room when the decisions are made?
Exactly. And that's why the burden falls on us, on operators to figure out how to make this work in the real world because nobody else is going to hand us the playbook. Look, the businesses that figure out how to cross from experiment to operation, they're going to compound their advantage. And the ones that don't, they're going to keep buying tools that collect dust while wondering why nothing is changing.
All right, so what's actually blocking people from making the shift?
Well, let me name what I think is actually happening. There's a gap between we're using AI and AI is running part of our business.
And you're seeing what I'm seeing. Most people are stuck on the wrong side of that gap.
Right. And not because they're failing, but because experimenting feels like progress. It feels productive because it's low accountability. Nothing breaks if it stops. No system truly depends on it.
Say more about that. Because I think a lot of people listening right now would say, I am making progress. I tried ChatGPT. I set up an automation. I watched the tutorials.
Right. And that's the trap.
No accountability.
And here's how it usually goes. You hear about a tool, you try it. It works in a demo or a test. You get excited and you think, this is going to change everything. But then it doesn't become part of how work actually gets done.
It sits there. You forget to use it.
Or you use it once a week when you remember, and then a few months later, you hear about another tool, and the cycle starts all over again.
So people are collecting tools instead of building systems.
And that's the key. And here's the thing, that's not a character flaw. That's a design flaw. The tools are designed to be easy to use. They're not designed to be easy to operationalize. There's no bridge built in. You have to build the bridge yourself. And most people don't even realize that's the job.
You know, I saw the same pattern in the dealership world long before AI. would buy a new piece of software for the service bay. Everyone would get trained. It would work great in the demo. And 6 months later, half the techs were back to the old way of doing things because the new system never actually got embedded into our operations.
And that's the exact pattern.
AI just accelerated it.
And right. And now you can try a tool in 10 minutes instead of 10 weeks, which means you can fail to operationalize it 10 times faster.
Progress at the speed of distraction.
Ooh, that's the line. Write that down.
I'll do one better. Let me give you a real example. I'm going to keep this anonymous because the situation is still in motion, but the pattern is worth learning from.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say.
There's an operator, and again, she's building something that's completely customized and generally innovative.
A logistics project, right?
How did you know? She sees exactly how AI and modern systems could transform the operation, reduce costs, increase speed, change the entire economics of how the business runs.
But she has this investor.
And the investor is asking traditional questions. How many people are you going to hire? What's the headcount projection? What are your revenue per employee stats?
Well, hell, those aren't bad questions.
They're not bad questions if you're evaluating a traditional business without systems.
Well, but this isn't a traditional business. I get your point. Or at least that's the point of this project, right? To modernize the business.
And the whole point of modernization is the old metrics don't map cleanly onto the new model. So now you have two people looking at the same project and seeing it completely different things. The investor sees the staffing plan that doesn't add up. The operator sees a transformation that makes the old staffing model outdated.
So you're saying the problem isn't the AI, it's that the decision makers are using the wrong map.
That's exactly what I'm saying. When the people funding, approving, and evaluating AI projects don't understand what they're actually looking at, projects stall. Not because the technology failed, but because the translation failed.
And this happens everywhere. I mean, it happens with investors, it happens with partners, it happens with their own team members who don't see what you see. The vision is clear in your head, but the people around you are still thinking in the old model.
Which means part of the job of operationalizing AI is translation. You have to bring people along.
Yeah, you have to bring the people along, or you have to make decisions about who's in the room. But either way, that's work that has nothing to do with the tool itself, and it's work that most people don't budget for. All right, so we've talked about the 95%. So now let's talk about the 5%, the businesses that actually make the shift from experiment to operation.
What are they doing differently?
Well, how from everything I've seen, research and conversations, even in my own building experience right now, it comes down to three things.
Give me the first one.
Well, number one, they define the workflow before they pick the tool. So most people do this backwards. They find a cool tool and then look for a place to use it. The businesses that operationalize AI start with the process. They ask, what does this workflow need to become? What's broken? What's slow? What's expensive? And then they go looking for the tool that fits.
So the tool is the answer to the question they've already asked.
Right. Instead of the tool being a question looking for a problem to solve.
What's the second one?
Well, number two is they build the bridge not just the pilot. So a pilot proves something can work. Operations proves it does work repeatedly without you babysitting. So the businesses that succeed treat the pilot as step one, not the finish line. They ask, what needs to be true for this to run without me touching it? And then they build that.
That's the part that most people skip.
It's the part most people don't even know exists. They get the pilot working and think that they're done. But the pilot is just the test run. The bridge, the system that makes it operational, well, that's the actual work.
All right, what's the third one?
Well, number 3, they measure operation, not adoption.
Example?
Well, here's the wrong metric. We have 10 AI tools. And now here's the right metric. AI handles 40% of our customer intake process without human intervention. So the wrong metric measures activity. The right metric measures replacement of effort. So you want to measure what AI is doing that a human used to have to do. That's how you know it's operational.
So, for someone listening right now who's tried 3 tools this year and none of them stuck, the problem isn't the tool.
Right. The problem is that they never built the system around the tools. They never asked, what workflow is this serving? What does operational look like? And how do I measure whether it's actually working? And look, that's not a failure of intelligence. That's a failure of framing. And nobody told them that was the job. So the marketing of these tools makes it sound like you just plug it in and magic happens. But the reality is you plug it in and then you have to make the magic happen.
Which is why 95% of the projects stall.
Right, which is why 95% of projects stall. So I want to get personal for a minute because I'm not talking about this from the outside. I'm living it. Now, right now, I'm in the middle of opening my new insurance agency. And if you've been following the show, you know this has not been a straight line. So, Lake Nona, where I'm trying to open, is one of the most competitive real estate markets in Florida. So, finding an office location that pencils, as they say in the car business, has been, let's say, a journey.
That's a polite version.
That's the only version I can say on air, Hal. But here's what's been on my mind this week. Now, my AAA marketing rep was in town, and we were driving the area together and talking to my commercial real estate agent and mapping out possibilities. And something hit me. And there's a moment when experimenting stops being neutral. And that pressure, that real operational pressure, it changes how you think about AI. So the temptation, well, is to keep experimenting, keep testing tools, keep figuring it out. That feels safe. That may feel like progress, but it's not operational. And right now, I don't have time for experiments that don't turn into systems.
So, what's the shift for you?
So the shift is asking a different question. So instead of what can this tool do, I'm asking what does my operation need to run with or without me in the chair every day? And then I'm building backward from that. Because when that lease comes through, and I believe it will, I don't have 6 months to figure out my systems. I need them ready. I need AI doing the work it's supposed to do, not sitting in some tab that I forgot I opened.
You're building a bridge before you need to cross it.
And that's the goal. All right, here's your challenge for this week. And this week, I'm keeping this one simple, 15 minutes max, because I don't want you to try a new tool. I don't want you to watch another demo. I don't want you to even sign up for another free trial. Instead, I want you to pick one AI tool you've already experimented with, one that got you excited but never became part of how you actually run your business.
Got it in your head? Good.
Now, ask 3 questions.
Question 1. What workflow was the tool supposed to improve? Not what it can do. What specific process in your business was it supposed to make better?
And question 2, what would operational actually look like? Meaning, what would it look like if this tool ran without you prompting it every time, without you remembering to even use it?
And question 3, what's the one thing blocking that shift? Is it setup? Is it training? Is it that you never defined the workflow in the first place?
And that's it. 3 questions, 1 tool you already have. Don't add anything new this week. Just get honest about why something you already tried didn't stick. That's where the real work starts. Now that's it for today's episode of Small Business Big AI. Thanks so much for tuning in.
If this one hit home, if you're realizing the gap between experiment and operations is exactly where you've been stuck, we're continuing this conversation today.
At 2 p.m. Eastern, Rob Belfield is joining us live on LinkedIn. Now, Rob has analyzed more than 1,200 companies, and he's going to walk through why most small businesses struggle to move from advice to implementation and what a consulting model built for this very moment actually looks like.
So if you've ever felt like you know what to do, but you can't make it stick, that's what we're talking about. The link's in the show notes. We'd love to see you there.
So until next time, keep embracing change, keep innovating.
Keep building a technology-enabled superpower.
That's right. So this
has been Small Business Big AI.
We'll catch you in the next episode.